The flashlight blinked 3 times from the ground below me. Slow, deliberate, not random. I almost answered it before I remembered something that made my stomach drop. The emergency floodlight panel inside my tower showed every access gate to that fire road was still locked. Nobody was supposed to be anywhere near my lookout. And then the light blinked again, 3 short flashes, because whoever was down there knew I was staring right at them. My name's Daniel Mercer. I was 32, and that summer I was working seasonal fire watch in the northern section of Shasta Trinity National Forest. Posted alone in an old steel lookout tower, above a dead stretch of timber, where lightning strikes were common and human traffic almost never happened after dark. The tower was one of those forgotten structures the Forest Service still used because satellites missed small smoke columns under heavy canopy. So my job was simple: sit through the night, scan the ridgelines, log any smoke, answer radio calls, and stay awake until sunrise. Most nights were painfully quiet. Wind in the pines, old steel groaning, coyotes somewhere too far to matter, the kind of silence that gets so constant, your own breathing starts sounding intrusive. My shift started at 7 p.m. By midnight, I usually did the same routine every hour. Sweep the West Ridge with binoculars, check the weather monitor, log visibility, step onto the narrow catwalk around the tower, scan the tree line below, then go back inside and drink burnt coffee that tasted like the metal pot it lived in. The tower itself was one room, radios on one wall, old desk in the middle, narrow cot in the corner, a bank of dusty monitors wired to 2 cameras facing the stairs and generator shed below, one steel door, one trapdoor hatch in the floor where the ladder dropped 30 feet down to the platform underneath. Everything in that place made noise. The fan clicked, the windows rattled, the radio hissed even when nobody was talking. You got used to all of it. What you never got used to was hearing a sound that didn't belong. Around 1:17 that morning, the first thing that felt wrong wasn't the flashlight. It was the radio. I heard a burst of static, then my own call sign. Tower 6. You seeing that down there? I froze with my coffee halfway to my mouth. Dispatch wasn't supposed to call unless they saw weather shifts or smoke reports. I grabbed the mic. Dispatch, say again. Nothing, just static, then silence. I checked the display. No incoming channel, no active transmission. The radio hadn't actually received anything. At least that's what the screen said. I stared at it for a few seconds, waiting for another call, telling myself maybe the unit was old and glitching again. But that's when I noticed something worse. One of the monitors was showing movement near the base of the stairs. I leaned closer. Grainy black and white footage. Trees moving in the wind. The lower platform. The locked chain gate. And standing just beyond the reach of the security light was a figure pointing something upward. At me. I rushed to the window and looked down. Nothing. Just darkness. When I looked back at the monitor, the figure was gone. I replayed the feed. The old system only stored 30 seconds. By the time the footage rolled back, the platform was empty. No person, no movement, no flashlight. Just the stairs and the trees. I told myself it was a shadow, a branch, sleep deprivation. Those towers mess with your head if you stare into darkness too long. Every ranger told stories about that. Shapes where there were no shapes, movement that wasn't there. Your brain filling empty spaces because it hates silence. I wanted that explanation. I needed that explanation. Then the flashlight blinked from below. 3 clean flashes, right through the trees. I stepped back from the grass so fast my chair tipped over. Whoever was down there had moved farther from the stairs, standing at the edge of the clearing where the forest started, just outside the spill of the tower lights. I could barely make out a person-shaped silhouette between the trunks. One arm raised, flashlight in hand, pointed directly at the tower. Blink, 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 then darkness. I grabbed to radio it in. Dispatch, this is Kansas. Tower 6. Possible unauthorized person at my location. A burst of static answered. Then a voice, quiet, distorted. I know. I nearly dropped the mic. Dispatch. Silence. Then normal static. I checked the channel. Still dead. No incoming transmission. No recorded call. Nothing. My hands were shaking now, and I hated that. Because panic makes stupid decisions. I forced myself to breathe and check the gate monitor. The chain gate below was still locked. I zoomed the camera toward the road. No vehicle. No headlights. No movement. The only way someone could have gotten up there was on foot, and that climb in the dark was brutal even in daylight. Nobody accidentally wandered that road. Nobody. I hit the floodlights outside. The clearing below exploded in white light. Empty. No person. No flashlight. Nothing but wet grass and black trees swaying slowly. I stood there staring, waiting to see someone run. Nobody moved. I kept the lights on and watched for almost 10 minutes. Nothing. Eventually, I started feeling ridiculous. Adrenaline can turn embarrassment into anger fast. I told myself I was spooking myself over an old radio and shadows in the woods. I logged possible wildlife interference near lower perimeter, because writing someone may be watching me felt insane, even to me. Around 2:04, the knocking started. 3 taps under the floor, directly beneath my boots. I looked down at the trapdoor hatch in the center of the room. The sound came again. Slow, hollow, metal against metal. Knock, knock, knock. I didn't move. My eyes stayed locked on that hatch. There was only one ladder up to the tower. I had checked the stairs an hour earlier. The gate was locked. No one could get underneath me without climbing into full view of the camera. I forced myself to look at the stair monitor. Empty stairs. Empty platform. No one below. Then the hatch handle moved. Just a little. Barely enough to notice. But I saw it. It turned maybe half an inch, then stopped. My mouth went dry instantly. I backed toward the radio desk without taking my eyes off the floor. Dispatch. I need law enforcement at Tower 6 now. Static. Then my own voice came back through the speaker. Dispatch. I need law enforcement at Tower 6 now. Same words, same tone, my exact voice. Half a second after I said it, I stared at the radio like it had just spoken for itself. Then from under the hatch directly beneath me, a man's voice whispered, "You already called." Every part of me locked up. I don't even remember breathing. I just stood there, listening to the old tower creak around me, while my brain tried to make sense of something that made no sense. There was no way someone could be under that floor. No way. But then the hatch handle turned again. Slower this time. I grabbed the emergency flare gun from the wall cabinet and pointed it at the trapdoor with both hands. "Don't move," I said, though my voice sounded thin even to me. The handle stopped. Silence. Then 3 knocks again. Same rhythm as the flashlight. Same rhythm as the radio. And then it happened again, but this time it came from the window behind me. 3 knocks on the glass. I spun so fast I almost fell. Someone was standing outside on the catwalk. Same height as me. Same ranger jacket. Same cap. Their face was hidden in darkness beyond the reflection, but I could see one hand pressed against the glass. And in that hand was my flashlight. The one I had left hanging inside by the door 20 minutes earlier. I stumbled backward so hard I hit the desk. When I looked toward the hook by the door, the flashlight was gone. I turned back to the window. The catwalk was empty. I ran to the door and threw the deadbolt shut even though I hadn't opened it once all night. My pulse was so loud it felt like another sound in the room. I checked every monitor at once. Stairs empty. Platform empty. Gate locked. Generator shed closed. Nothing anywhere. But the system log on the security screen had changed. Access door open. 1:58 a.m. I stared at the timestamp. 1:58 was 10 minutes earlier. I had been standing in the middle of the room at 1:58, watching the floor. The door had never opened, but the log said it had. Then another line appeared under it. Access door closed. 1:58 a.m. My chest tightened. Someone, or something, had entered the tower according to the system. and the only person inside was me. I don't remember deciding to leave. At some point, instinct took over. I grabbed the keys, the radio, and the flare gun, and went for the stairs, because staying in that room suddenly felt worse than the dark outside. The second I opened the tower door, freezing wind hit my face, and the catwalk shuddered under my boots. My flashlight beam cut across the railing and stopped on muddy footprints. Fresh boot prints, leading in a half circle around the tower windows. They ended directly outside the spot where I'd seen the figure standing, and those prints were identical to mine. Same tread, same size, same worn notch on the heel. I backed away from them, my stomach twisting, and looked down toward the stairs. That's when I saw someone standing at the bottom of the tower, just outside the floodlight, staring up at me. I couldn't see the face, only the silhouette. Ranger hat, broad shoulders, one hand lifted slowly toward me. Then my radio crackled against my chest. "Tower 6, dispatch said clearly this time. "Who just checked in from your station?" I couldn't answer. Because from below me, in my own voice, the figure in the dark said, "Everything looks normal up here." Then it smiled. Not wide, not unnatural, just enough for me to see teeth catch the light. I fired the flare without thinking. Red light exploded across the trees, and the figure stepped backward into the forest, like it had been waiting for me to make the first move. I ran down those stairs so fast I nearly missed the last step. By the time I hit the ground, the woods were empty. No branches moving, no footsteps, no sound. Just smoke from the flare drifting through the pines. Deputies reached the tower 22 minutes later. They searched everything: the road, the clearing, the trees, the catwalk. They found the muddy footprints outside the tower windows, but only one set, mine. The radio log showed an outgoing transmission from my station at 2:11 a.m., but dispatch swore the voice that answered them didn't sound panicked. They said it sounded calm, familiar. Like me. I quit 2 days later. I told everyone sleep deprivation got to me, that isolation can do strange things, that maybe I'd imagined more than I wanted to admit. That would have been easier to believe. It almost worked. Until 3 weeks later, after I was back home in Oregon, my old handheld radio, which had been turned off in a box since I left, crackled once on my kitchen counter. And in my own voice, calm and low, it said, "You left before your shift ended."